when Hebrew entered the curriculum of most Western universities at the beginning of the 16th century, beginning Hebraists were in dire need of fitting school books, fitting text editions for learning Hebrew. Now, already at the beginning of the 16th century, an editor like Daniel Bomberg had started printing the most important works of Judaism, like the Hebrew Bible, of course, but also the Talmud and the Mishnah. But student editions with facing Latin translations were mostly procured by professors of Hebrew, professors of Hebrew who operated in Rome, in Paris, or in Louvain. Most of these student editions contained one or more biblical books, of which the most popular was, without doubt, the Book of Psalms, because the Psalms were short, relatively short texts, already known by heart by most students in their Latin translation. Other biblical books that were popular as learning material was the so-called wisdom literature, or the books of Ecclesiastes, of Song of Songs, and of Proverbs. The book I want to showcase now is an example of the latter category, namely of the book of Ecclesiastes and the Song of Songs. It is also a Sammelband in which is contained also the grammars of both Clenardus and Campensis. And especially the book of Ecclesiastes is very densely annotated. If one looks at the first pages, one can see that almost every word in Hebrew is provided of a Latin translation, which is quite remarkable because there is a facing Latin translation by Agazio Guidacerio, the editor of this book, who was an Italian Hebraist operating in Rome and Paris. He was also one of the first royal lectors at the Collège Royal in Paris. Now, there are not only word-by-word translations into Latin, but also notes which treat more realia on the Hebrew text. On this page, we see one such note, which is linked to one Hebrew word. In Hebrew, it is pardes. We know it as paradise. And it means, in Hebrew, it means orchard. The professor who dictated the lesson probably felt the need to explain this word because it was known primarily as paradise, but in this context it clearly means orchard, since it's juxtaposed to the word for garden. And he explains, in fact, the difference between a garden and an orchard. A garden being a place that possesses many kinds of trees, while an orchard only has one kind of tree in it. Finally, a last type of student notes, which I would like to show you in this edition, is this manicula, or little hand, which is applied by the student to one specific Bible verse, which in Latin reads, infinitus est stultorum numerus, or the number of fools is infinite. Truth be told, this note does not tell us much of the practice in the Hebrew classroom, but it gives us an intriguing view into the minds of a young Hebraist who perhaps just read his first piece of original biblical literature.